Take a look at what happened.
Build up to United States 2024 presidential election, Republican candidate Donald Trump escape assassination attempt. Gombe State government seeks presidential intervention towards actualization of Golmani Integrated Development Project. National Identity Management Commission assures of secured and reliable data. Hello and welcome to the News at 10 on NTA News 24. We are live in Abuja. Thanks for joining us. I am Vivian Izadifi. We now begin with the news from the U.S. We begin from the United States of America, where Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump escaped an assassination attempt after being shot in the right ear during a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. Let's now join Suleiman Abdul Wahab for details.
Take a look at what happened.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump escaped an assassination attempt after being shot in his right ear during a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. The incident caused panic as Trump emerged with bloodstain on his face. Shortly after Trump had started his speech, aside the assassins who was neutralized, the Secret Service said in a statement one Republican supporter has well been killed and two other spectators were injured. The assassin's motive was not immediately clear, but frontline Republicans and Democrats have quickly condemned the violence. The FBI has confirmed that the former United States president is safe. U.S. President Joe Biden and former President Barack Obama have swiftly condemned the assassination attempt. In Abuja, Suleiman Abdul Wahab, NTA News.
We'll now be joined by Ambassador Dauda Danladi, former Nigerian's ambassador to Pakistan, via Zoom to give more insight into the assassination attempt. Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning.
What is the implication of this on the forthcoming U.S. presidential election?
This is quite unfortunate because in the 21st century, political violence in the United States is still well and alive. This makes the seventh attempt on states. From Andrew Jackson to Theodore Roosevelt to Franklin Roosevelt to Harry S. Truman and Ronald Reagan, it's quite unfortunate. And as you know, if you go back into history, just about 4 presidents to assassinate. What this has portended is that there is the need for the United States to look at its gun policy critically. And there's the need also to ensure that politics is played without any bitterness. It is quite unfortunate, and we hope that this will not resonate in the rest of
Okay. Does this exonerate Africa as not the only place known for political violence?
It's quite unfortunate, and we hope it will not resonate in African countries. We should be able to play politics without bitterness. Violence should have no place in the 21st century in politics. We hope that in the case of Africa, it will not boil down to assassination attempts on candidates. It is our hope also that politicians will play politics with fairness, justice, and equity, so that we do not have a rise in political violence. As you know, we have our own quite experiences of political violence in this country, especially in African countries, and this should not be the case. We hope that politicians will play the game fairly and squarely the institutions that are responsible for conducting elections should also be seen to be unbiased, to be seen to be play the game fairly and squarely, a level playing field for all politicians, so that we do not have this kind of political virus. It's quite unfortunate that the largest democracy in the world, the United States, is still experiencing political violence in the 21st century. You know, in the past, the United States have lost about 4 presidents to assassinations, from Abraham Lincoln to James A. Garfield to William McKinley to John F. Kennedy. They were all assassinated. Attempts, this is the 7th attempt, from Andrew Jackson to Theodore Roosevelt to Franklin to Truman to Gerald Ford and Ronald Reagan. And I think it is quite unfortunate that political violence is still well and alive in the 21st century. This should not be the case. The United States, we hope, will take this opportunity to review its gun policy. And at the same time, African countries should also take necessary measures to, as much as possible, to prevent political violence. And the only way to do that is to ensure justice, equity, level playing field in the political arena.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts with us in this news package.
Thank you very much. You are welcome.
Okay, sir. That was the former ambassador to Pakistan, Ambassador Dauda Danladi. Turning our attentions to other matters now, President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Mr. Buffer Den Agundi as the new Director General of the National Productivity Center. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajirin Galali, says Mr. Den Angudi is a former majority leader of the Kano State House of Assembly. He was also the principal registrar of the Kano State High Court of Justice. Also, President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Mr. Umar Ibrahim Mohammed as the new Director General of the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. Mohammed is an architect and also a construction technology and environment professional. Mr. Silas Agara is also appointed as the new Director General of the National Directorate of Employment. Mr. Agara is an entrepreneur and sports administrator who previously served as the Deputy Governor of Nasarawa State. The President anticipates the newly appointees' utmost dedication and patriotic zeal in achieving their mandates of developing a national culture of excellence in operational efficiency and institutionalizing a performance-driven orientation towards measurable productivity in the citizenry for the overall enhancement of service delivery and quality of life across the nation. Gombe State government is seeking presidential intervention towards the actualization of the Kulmani Integrated Development Project in the state. This was part of the issues as the state governor Muhammadu Inuwa visited President Bola Tinubu at the State House in 2020. At the State House in 2022, President Muhammadu Buhari officially flagged off the Kulmani Development Project to explore and refine crude oil in northern Nigeria. But Governor Inuwa expressed displeasure that 2 years after, the project with huge potential for the northern parts of the country is yet to take off.
NNPC and also the partners that engage, or the developers. Those issues really have strangled operations to take off, and in fact it's part of the discussion I had with Mr. President, believing that once he steps in, maybe we'll see activities back, for the fact that petroleum and gas are under the exclusive list, and there isn't much we can do, and NNPC is the only company that is supposed to handle anything gas or petroleum in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And as such, the presidential intervention, which I came unthoughtful, will really maybe make the things to return back, and activities will resume on the site as soon as possible.
Spoke about various efforts to support the federal government's agriculture and food security drive.
Our engagement has been very robust. We touched on all the issues, and I'm satisfied and I'm convinced that Mr. President is ready and has been doing his best and will continuously do his best in order to deliver on the mandate and see that Nigeria is out of the current situation and has improved and has gone to catch up with the rest of the developed world.
4 persons have been rescued alive by the search and rescue operatives at the venue of the collapsed 2-story buildings along the Tutu area in Kubwa, Federal Capital Territory. Correspondent Onotu Yakubu, who monitored the situation, brings us an update.
It was about 6 in the morning when some of the occupants began hearing sounds of the building walls cracking. Eyewitness accounts say while they rushed to evacuate the 2-story building, the west wing eventually caved in, trapping 4 of the residents in the rubble.
The only thing I know that is about 36 rooms, but I don't really know the actual people because some people are couples, some people are single, or maybe visitors, so I can't really tell how many.
But before now, there have been any signs that business like that? Yeah.
I've not even noticed any sign. It was just like I've not even noticed any sign. The building are going to collapse.
Search and rescue operation began immediately at the site following distress calls. About 5 hours later, this 4th victim of the building collapse was successfully rescued alive by emergency workers.
So far, we have been able to rescue 4 people alive. 2 people are in the hospital, others were on hot. Well, the rescue operation is still ongoing. We are not going to call off these rescue operations unless the part of the building that has collapsed, unless we get to the bottom of it.
The construction companies or individuals that are constructing buildings, most of the times they don't follow the rules. So the development control need to step up their game in monitoring the construction activities going on. That's the only advice we have to give.
Although there is no report of any further victim trapped in the building, the earth-moving equipments are still digging through the rubble with intent to get to ground zero and ascertain the situation before the operation can be called off. The 2-story collapsed building was said to have initially been erected as a hotel before undergoing remodeling twice, first for a hospital and now a 35-rooms residential apartment. In Abuja, Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
There will be more reports after this time out. Stay with us.
From the creeks of the Niger Delta to the breathtaking scenery of the plateau, in noonday and nighttime, we set out to bring to you captivating stories that evoke your emotions. For fascinating documentaries and reports on day-to-day issues with expert analysis, tune in to NTA News24, DSTV Channel 419, GoTV Channel 26, StarTimes Channel 101 and 433, and Free TV Channel 703.
Welcome back. In a world where depression and mental health struggles are becoming more endemic, substances like cocaine, marijuana, or tramadol are seen as a quick fix remedies to evade obvious realities, but was used to be an act indulged in by a handful has now become a social activity engaged in for a sheer entertainment and pleasure by most youth. Daniel Aderi in those reports delves into the realities of nicotine drugs and how it affects society.
Nigeria is a country known for diverse things, one of which is fun and entertainment. And because ours is a population largely dominated by youth, the party almost never stops. Hence why there is always a party to be hosted every other week. But what happens when a party becomes a drug haven?
The one themed "Go hard or go home, choose your poison" was actually somewhere in Sun City Estate in Abuja here, and where we made 60 arrests. We actually got the organizer of the party, we had, out of that, 6 of them were actually set aside because illicit substances, ecstasy, cannabis, and the rest were found on those ones, while I think 36 others illicit substances were found in their systems.
But how do you fight a hydra-headed monster, particularly one that specifically targets youths? But more importantly, how do you dissuade youths from towing the path of this monster, which in most cases ends in doom?
We are aware that there are people who are struggling with this substance, who may not know how to get help or are afraid of being judged or being stigmatized. So one of the things that the leadership of the agency had done is to provide a call center through which people can sit in the comfort of their homes from any part of the country, call the toll-free helpline 0800 10 20 30 40. And there at the other end of the line at our call center, we have our experts, counselors, clinical psychologists, psychotherapists, psychiatric doctors, all working 24/7, 7 days of the week.
Now, we stepped out to engage some young Nigerians as to why they think youths generally indulge in hard drugs. And this is what they had to say.
A parent living in a place where people smoke, bringing their children up there, definitely the child will see those adults smoking, drinking, is learning from them. So while growing up, you like to say, okay, let me try what these adults they are trying, let me see how it is.
I feel content. Most of all these content we watch online, not only online, both movies. So they depict some of all these drugs that make people want to go into it, not just because they're having issue or anything, but just because of what they are watching online.
Okay, for me, I feel it's due to neglect from families. And another factor is peer pressure. Because when you are with some friends and they are doing some kind of things and you don't do that, they'll make you feel so inferior, or they make you feel bad that you don't do what they do. So sometimes they make people go into these things just to act the same way they act.
Stress certainly is a part of human existence, and there is no gainsaying to this fact. But however, people deal with stress levels in different ways. But that is not to say that in the bid to deal with stress, you resort to taking substances that eventually would mean the deterioration of your health and even your body. So what am I saying in essence? If you must take drugs, and drugs in this sense, I mean drugs that actually help you grow, be sure to make sure that these drugs are medically tested, certified and approved by a pharmacist and a medical doctor. In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NTA News.
The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, continues to assure citizens of adequate protection of their data with the best security measures and architecture in place. Oluseyi Adiawo reports that this was during an oversight visit by the House of Representatives Committee on National Population and Identity, with more than 108 million Nigerians and legal residents currently enrolled and issued the unique National Identification Number, NIN.
Total security and proper maintenance of the national database is a priority of the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, and this is evolving with innovation to strengthen national identity services. The latest is the General Multi-Purpose Identity Card, which is at a final stage and ready for issuance to Nigerians and legal residents in August. In a meeting with lawmakers oversighting the commission, they were brought up to speed with the upgraded National Identity Database and parliamentarians dwelling on the reenactment of the 2007 NIMSE Act.
Let us recommit to this mission of providing secured, inclusive, and reliable identity management solution. Let us embrace innovations to stay ahead of the curve in a rapid changing world.
But we realized that it was very easy for people to duplicate or mimic, create false NIN slips. So we're in the process of scrapping that NIN slip and making sure that you're able to use your cards, which will have security features on it, so they cannot be easily duplicated. So if somebody has come out with false information, I think for us, it made us all sit down and said, we've looked at this. It's not from us, because the security agencies have investigated it. But how do we also ensure we reinforce our already strong cybersecurity defense system? And so we're working on ensuring that we have several other layers of reinforcement.
Participants are expected to leverage knowledge gained from the retreat to improve performance. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
There is the common saying that when you train a girl child, you train a nation. And for the Julie Drama Women and Children Initiative, they are matching words with action through a boot camp for girls in internally displaced persons camps with the theme Empowering Young Minds, Building Resilient Futures. Daniel Aderiye now tells us more.
Whatever it is your story is, we just want to reassure you that you can be that person you want to be.
Summer is upon us, and like most summers, young boys and girls are often engaged in boot camps of all kinds. For Juwasi, this is unlike any other boot camp. It is for young girls with big dreams but little means.
Whenever these internally displaced girls are now exposed to these situations because of crisis and war and everything that has led them to this place, I just thought to myself, what can I do to help beyond giving them food? Of course, my NGO has been reaching out to them with food materials, educational materials and all that. But these children, these young girls, they are more vulnerable to being victims of sex trafficking, human trafficking, and if we do not put in our own quota, then who will?
Today we set out today for sensitizing the IDP girls on basic things that can help them build their confidence, develop themselves, and precisely avoid dangerous paths like being trafficked, which was one of the issues we address here.
Most issues have to do with even understanding what mental health entails. At the level of the IDPs, during my interactions, I see that, well, not all of them are clear about what it means. You know, they just take it as a way of life. Things happen to them and they just absorb it and not knowing what harm it's causing them. So there's need for continuous, education, sensitization to especially the vulnerable people.
As we often hear, if wishes were horses, men, or in this case, women, will ride forever. But for the likes of Rukayat and Dorothy, their dreams are not just limited by wish, but are propelled by sheer belief that it could become a reality someday.
I want to be a journalist when I grow up. I want to become a game programmer. My biggest dream is to become a fashion designer.
My big dream is to be a businesswoman.
Growing up, I found out that I love interacting with people. I love talking to people, so I built this confidence on becoming a journalist because that's the work they do. They interact, they explore, they learn.
I'm just trying to be creative on my own, trying to make something different that people like. Like, for example, if I wear something like this and someone says he likes it, I'll try and make something more different than this one, that you like it more than the one I wore.
I love business and I'm into it right now as I speak. I'm into clothing. I buy and sell clothes.
What I've learned is that in anything you want to achieve in this life, you have to work hard. Nothing is impossible. Nobody is better than you. Anything you set your mind to, you'll be able to do it, and you can achieve all your dreams.
In Abuja, Daniel Aderiye, NTA News.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I am Vivian Izadifi.